Afternoon. Well, as we get closer to Christmas, the question keeps coming up again: are we going to get a white Christmas? Well, I'll talk about that shortly. It's still uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding the Christmas Day forecast as we see two air masses battle it out across the country. It does look as though it's going to be fairly mild, I think, Christmas Eve into Christmas Day, but there is a chance that through Christmas Day we start to see some colder air coming down from the north, and that could well bring us some wintry showers, one or two spots, but still some uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty in the computer models. Some are keen to bring in the colder air, some are keen to keep it away. So it's a very tricky situation. But I'll talk about that in a minute. The main thing to talk about is the next named storm, named by the Danish Met Service as Storm Pia. The reason they've named it, it's going to bring a lot of very destructive winds to the western side of Denmark tomorrow afternoon, and then across the country as we go through tomorrow afternoon as well. So pretty wild conditions for anybody in the North Sea. I suspect any offshore workers will be being brought back into port, I would have thought, tonight. And tomorrow, certainly, it's looking very windy. We'll see winds in excess of 100 miles an hour down to the North Sea tomorrow. So really nasty situation. That will be affecting some ferry crossings. I suspect Northlink ferries, Calmac have already announced some cancellations and changes to tomorrow's service in anticipation of the very strong winds, which will affect this part of the world tonight and through tomorrow morning. Things do improve in the afternoon as the strongest of the winds move to the east and start battering Denmark. But in the meantime, we've got to get this system through. It's a deep area of low pressure, which is responsible, of course. So let's start by sharing some information with you. So just share this now. You can see this is the wind forecast for this evening, 8 o'clock this evening. As you can see here, these are the red, orange colours are the strongest winds coming in from the west, as you can see. Now, this is a situation at 8 o'clock. As you can see, as we go through the night, the winds start to increase. We've got quite widespread gales coming in across the Northern Isles, along the north and northwest coast, into the Western Isles and Skye by midnight. And then overnight, then winds strengthen further. And you can see these dark orange colours starting to appear. These are severe gales, west and northwesterly, really strong winds across the north coast, down through the northwest coast, through the Minch, across the Western Isles, Skye, and just starting to come into Orkney as well. We're talking speeds here, probably 60 or 70 miles an hour. Now, as we go through the overnight period into tomorrow morning, you can see we continue with these very strong winds, northwesterly, severe gales battering the Northern Isles, the north coast, the northwest coast. But I think as we get through to the early hours, we'll start to see the winds across the west just start to ease. So I think the peak of the winds across the Western Isles and Skye in the northwest, probably sometime between about 4 and 6 in the morning. As you can see, by 6 o'clock, the strongest of the winds across Orkney and Shetland, some really severe, storm force winds, in fact, northwesterly winds affecting Shetland, Orkney, the north coast of Sutherland and Caithness. And we'll start to see severe gales affect the Moray Firth and also the north and northeast side of Aberdeenshire. Now, these winds here across Shetland and Orkney, we could well see speeds in excess of 80 miles an hour. I think some of the very exposed spots will see 85 miles an hour. So it's really quite nasty conditions. Of course, something that these areas quite used to. Strong winds in the northern and western isles are nothing unusual at this time of year, but it's certainly worth mentioning because we've not seen these kind of winds for quite a while. We saw 60 or 70 in a few spots last night, but certainly very wild tonight, later tonight, should I say, and into tomorrow morning. That's the situation at 7 o'clock in the morning. And you can see I run the sequence. If you look at the 8 o'clock system, 8 o'clock chart, this swathe of very strong winds, storm force winds, just to the east of Shetland, battering down through Orkney and just blasting down through the North Sea, catching these northeastern coasts as they do so. Very strong winds, like I say, 70, 80 miles an hour, certainly 90 to 100 miles an hour winds out into the North Sea. So any offshore workers out to the east of Shetland certainly going to get a real battering as we go through tomorrow morning. What you'll see further inland, these green colours indicating winds not as strong. We're talking sort of 50 or 60 miles an hour in very exposed spots for many places, but it's certainly the western coast, the north coast, the northeast coast, and certainly the Northern Isles, which are going to feel the brunt of this storm. So that's the situation at 8 o'clock. If I carry on running through the charts, you'll see by 9 o'clock, the strongest winds are to the east of Shetland, storm force winds, 90 to 100 mile an hour winds there. But we'll start to see the winds easing further west. You see the colours are going more to the yellow. This shows that the gales will start to ease. And certainly across Orkney as well, we'll start to see the winds just starting to subside as we go through the morning. And then by 10 o'clock, you can see we've still got these very strong winds in the North Sea, but we just notice these colours across the west and indeed across Orkney as well. We just start to see the colours turning a bit sort of lighter, so that indicates the wind speeds will begin to gradually ease. And by the time we get to midday, you can see much sort of easing conditions across the west and many places. Still very windy, mind, but not the damaging winds we'll see in the morning. And also across Orkney as well, winds start to ease. But Shetland's still got a severe gale force northwesterly wind blowing, but it will gradually ease as we go through the afternoon. So you can see the situation by 3 o'clock. We've got much lighter winds. So, still a good wind blowing, but you can see the very, very strong winds are down south of Norway, heading towards Denmark. Here we'll see very strong winds and potentially some storm surges along this western side of Denmark as these strong northwesterly winds blast down the North Sea. Also going into Holland as well, we could see problems with flooding, I suspect, for some of these coastal areas and also across the western parts of Denmark. But further back towards our neck of the woods, things continue to ease. The strong northwesterly winds will continue to abate through the course of the afternoon. You can see by tomorrow evening, it's just a brisk northwesterly wind affecting all areas. So it's a quite a quick to exit system. Is this? It'll start, like I say, overnight, but then the real sway, the strong wind starts across the west overnight, moves along the north coast into the Northern Isles, and eventually exits down into North Sea through the course of tomorrow. So it's just a very windy period, but these winds across Orkney and Shetland, as I say, could well exceed 80 miles an hour through tomorrow morning. So quite a nasty situation. So what's the weather going to happen? What's actually coming with this rain, this system? Well, as usual with low pressure, we bring rain in. This is a situation at midnight. You can see a lot of rain coming in across the country from the west. That continues to sink southwards overnight, and you can see as the rain clears, we see showers falling in from the northwest. Then we see these very stormy conditions across Shetland for a time. But just look at this, what happens as the low pressure moves away to the southeast. We pull in much colder air. You can see this purple here indicates that we see some wintry showers. Now, if we show you the air mass for tomorrow, you can see we start with a fairly mild air mass across the country overnight tonight. But just look at what happens tomorrow. As that low exits to the east, we start to pull this colder air down from the north as we go through tomorrow night. And indeed into Friday, you can see some really quite cold air into Shetland, some bright sort of purpley colours there indicating some really quite cold upper air temperatures. So that's going to bring some wintry showers in. In fact, if you look at the chart, overnight, Thursday into Friday, you can see we've got these snow, hail showers across Shetland tomorrow night and into Friday. We could see some quite heavy snow showers over Shetland and maybe some thundery ones as well. But the rest of the country, it's just rain showers, maybe something wintry over the higher hills as we go through tomorrow night. As you can see, look, maybe Orkney seeing a bit as well, but mainly it's rain with hill snow. Apart from the Northern Isles, I see snow down to low levels. And then into Friday, it's another windy, sort of cloudy day. We've got outbreaks of rain, as you can see, moving in from the west, quite heavy rain across the west. And you can see that moves through overnight into Saturday. But as it moves through and encounters a colder air to the northeast, we could just see some winteriness from this. Now, there's a lot of uncertainty. That's one computer model. But if I show you a different computer model, they've got a slightly different take on it. This is the ECMWF computer model. Now, this one is more keen to bring a period of snow across the Highlands, Moray, Aberdeenshire, maybe parts of Perthshire, overnight Friday, into early Saturday. But that's just one computer model. Either way, the general idea is the same. We've got this band of rain coming in from the west, and as it bumps against the cold air, it may well bring some snow, but it moves through, look, and as it moves through, we bring milder air back in from the west. Any snow turns to rain. So it's just really a bit of uncertainty Friday night into Saturday. Just how much, if any, snow comes out of this system, it might just all be rain before we see the milder air come back in. And if I just show you the air mass as we go through the weekend, you can see just what happens. The colder air's in place, look, through Friday, particularly further north and northeast, but gradually through Saturday, it gets pushed away, look, and we see these milder conditions coming back in from the west. So if we do see any snow overnight on Friday into Saturday across the Highlands and the northeast, it will be quite short-lived, because the general idea is, look, these greener, milder conditions coming from the west from Saturday. And then into Christmas Eve on Sunday, it's still generally mild, a little bit cooler. You can see we've just got this colder air just trying to work its way in through Christmas Eve. So we could well see, some colder air just edge down. As you can see, that's the Christmas Day chart. Quite chilly northerly winds with this is the GFS model. So with that, we could well see some wintry showers. But if I run the sequence from a different computer model, You can see their idea for Christmas Day is not just as cold, but you can see the colder air just in the to the north, and that could well just bring some wintry showers south. If I show you the forecast chart, you can see on Christmas Eve, look, it's mainly rain. But then on Christmas Day, we just start to see just some pinks and purples starting to appear. That's indication of some wintry showers, but that's being shown for the higher ground. But if I show you another chart, another computer model, their idea is maybe some wintry showers to perhaps slightly lower levels on Christmas Day. So there's a bit of uncertainty, but I think the general opinion is it does turn milder over the weekend after a chilly couple of days. And then there's this uncertainty over the Christmas period. But I think for most of us, it's going to be windy over Christmas, quite showery, with possibly some wintry showers over the higher ground on Christmas Day. And then into Boxing Day, it's looking quite settled on the run from the GFS, high pressure just building in. But if I run the chart for a different model, you can see that they keep it a little bit showery across the far north, but then building in this high pressure. So really, it's not looking like a cold and snowy Christmas, I'm afraid. I think there may be some wintry showers on the higher ground, but for most of us, the Christmas period, certainly Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, looking quite windy with some showers, potentially drier and possibly frostier on Boxing Day, as you can see, with just this ridge of high pressure bringing in something a little bit drier. But certainly as we go into the Christmas period, it's generally quite unsettled. As you can see, we've got low pressure out to the west, sending these weather systems north. And again, as we meet the colder air, you can see with the purple, we may see some snow, particularly over higher ground. But generally speaking, it's going to be fairly unsettled with showers, longer spells of rain, and possibly, like I said, some wintry stuff on the higher ground. It's still quite a way off. It's still a week away. If all these systems end up being further south, that means the colder air is also further south, so the higher risk of seeing some snow from more places. But as I say, it's a very difficult situation. We've got this battleground taking place between the colder air and the milder air. If I show you the bigger picture, this is for the air mass for the whole of Europe and the North Atlantic. You can see what's happening. Look, we've got this very mild air out to the west, this colder air to the north, and it just keeps coming down, as you can see on Friday. Then it gets pushed away again. Look, on Saturday and Sunday. Then it starts to reappear on Christmas Day, Boxing Day. Then again, as you see, by the 26th, the milder air is trying to get in, and it pushes it away. So it's a very, very fine balance, really. As you can see, we're flipping from mild air to cold air constantly over the next few days. It's a very unsettled pattern, with the jet stream very close to running through the UK. So it's a fairly mixed pattern. Okay, folks. Well, that's the update. If you're planning a ferry crossing tomorrow, I certainly will be checking in with Northlink and CalMat, because, as I say, quite a few of the planned ferries have been cancelled or changed. There could be some restrictions, I think, for most of the day, I think, for the Northern Isles and the Western Isles. Just keep an eye on it. Okay, well, thanks for watching the video. As always, bye for now.